Awesome, and we're live. So welcome everyone to yet another teardown, and this time we have with us the Square Yards team. I think it's been a grueling month. Lots and lots of sessions in between. We've done the decks that our finalists that we've been able to choose from. And for everyone who's joining us for the first time, sharing a quick agenda for today. We start off with a quick round of intros, a little bit about the community and a little bit about Square Yards, who's our partner for today. Then we'll jump into our mentors profiles, Vivek and Sundar. Uday will walk you through today's problem statement, as well as then we'll hear a little bit more about Square Yards. And we'll also hear about the scoring criteria for today. Then we'll get started with the decks. We have 4 finals for today. 10 minutes for each participant, 8 plus 2, that is 8 minutes to present, 2 minutes to share their thoughts. We also have the product sparks for this time. So even though even if you haven't made it to the final 3, do stay tuned. We'll be announcing some exercises for some other interesting ideas that came through in the other decks that we got to see. And once we're done with these decks, we will then recuperate for the finalist, and all the best to everyone who's participating today. For everyone else who's viewing today, we have a format where we will be sharing a poll. So even you guys could choose the winner. So do stay tuned to the decks. You could do your scoring, and let's see if the audience poll as well as our poll matches. So that should be exciting. And just to give you a heads up, if you have any questions for attendees, if you want to ask something, feel free to add it to the chat section or the questions tab. So all the questions that you have towards the Square Yards team, put it in the questions tab. Any questions that you have for the other participants who are presenting their deck, put it in the chat section. We could keep jamming. I'm also going to be viewing this, so let's keep it interactive. Let's keep it like a nice learning session for the rest of us. And all the best to all the finalists. With that, just getting quickly started, I'll share a little bit about the community and I'll hand it over to Uday, who's our co-host for today. So a little bit about the community. The Product Folks is a volunteer-driven community of product managers, product enthusiasts, product designers, and product marketers. We've been around for close to 2 years now, done our 150 plus events, conference. We also have a bunch of initiatives for early stage and late stage product managers. For early stage folks, do check out learnpmwith.me. It's a learning portal, completely free of cost. We have a bunch of curated resources. Do check it out. We've added a new section on case studies. I'll add the links to the chat section, but do have a look. We also have an early stage APM program. It's called insurjo.club. Do check that out. And if you guys aren't already on our Slack channel, we'll share that link as well. For mid to late stage folks, sharing something towards the end of the session. Don't want to delay this any further. So Uday, over to you, and Vivek and Sundar, welcome to this. Looking forward to the next 60 minutes.
Thank you so much, Suhas. It's been a wonderful month. The Product Teardown, for those of you who are new, is basically a unique format where we break down the product into its various constituents, analyze the various parts, and come up with recommendations to improve for India's leading platforms that we have. This is a very common methodology which was used for physical products in the past. Industries like automotive, aerospace, and so on would break down their physical constituents and analyze and compare it against their competitors and come up with recommendations. So like an alternative to the reverse engineering piece. But it has, it's kind of new to the digital space. So we're really excited to do this. We've been doing it for almost a year with some of the market leaders. Square Yards, India's leading estate platform, have absolutely been killing it in the past couple of years. So we're really excited to have them on board. In terms of the problem statement, the focus has been on 2 things. One is improving the mobile experience. Square Yards has a mobile website, an app, which kind of has gone through its own set of story. So so they've invited people to come up with recommendations, break it apart, try and suggest suggestions to improve this whole thing. The second bit is around their line of business, which is on fulfillment services. So apart from the transactions related to the real estate segment, like buying and selling of flats, renting, and so on, there is a whole life cycle which of the real estate journey, which Square Yard sort of taps into. So the second piece which the participants have been given. We had almost 500 registrants for this event, which was really overwhelming. These were a mix of aspiring product managers and product managers in in the transition from a medium to a senior level. So it's been exciting so far. We had two working sessions as well. Sundar, myself, kind of led the participants through some of the product principles which can be used for the teardown. So yeah, super excited to see what the output is like. And as far as the reviewing process is concerned, we'll have Vivek and Sundar talk a bit about it. What scoring patterns we followed, what has been their feedback on the decks that we've received so far. So I'll hand it over to Vivek and Sundar. Vivek is CTO and co-founder at Square Yards. Sundar is a product manager and now a director at the company. His startup also recently got acquired by Square Yards. So hand it over to Vivek and Sundar. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Suhas. Thanks, Uday. Thanks, first of all, for inviting us to this wonderful platform. We have been waiting eagerly to get our product teardown, and the quality of decks that we saw, it was wonderful. So we got almost 20 odd decks, and each one of those decks was having wonderful insights. Some of those we have just included in our roadmap for next week. So, so it was very nice experience interacting with all of the guys and then getting this feedback and getting our product improved. A little bit about Square Yard journey. So we started almost 6 years back from a small office in Gurgaon, and now we are almost 5,000 people odd. It's in 25 cities in 9 countries. We do almost 50 million of revenue per year. So one of the largest real estate platforms. And a couple of years back, so we started with primary real estate brokerage, but a couple of years back, we expanded ourselves to different verticals, namely rentals, property management. Then we launched interiors company this year. We also got into space, and then the 3D space with Sundar's company's acquisition. So we are trying to build an ecosystem of services around real estate, be it new homes, existing homes, mortgages, rentals, property management, interiors. So everything combined which a consumer needs. So very excited about this session. So all the decks were good. We had a couple of shortlists. So the primary criteria that we looked at was the problem solving, like how the user persona fits into the solution that was suggested. So I think the user persona section was good for everyone. But one of our prime criteria to evaluate was that how the solutions to the problem fits into that user persona. So that was one of the main criteria. So I think there are 4 shortlists that we have done, but there are a few other quite notable mentions also. We'll do that declaration after the in the end session. So very happy to have you on this.
Thanks so much, Vivek. Sundar, do you quickly walk us through your journey and a little bit more about how Square Yards have been?
Sure. Yeah. So, hi everyone. First of all, great work. Thanks for this opportunity to the Product Folks team that we were given this opportunity for teardown. And amazing job by all the teams. Like while we were reading through some of the decks, we could see Uday, some of the things that we were discussing last week were very well incorporated in those decks. So I could see that a lot of product managers, aspiring product managers, were from these sessions, and it was quite exciting to see that. A quick background about my journey was that I have been into multiple startups before this, building products across, like from the hardware space to software space. especially technology. The thing that I was very closely involved with in Prop PR, which got recently acquired by Square Yards, was in the 3D virtual reality and augmented reality space. So we were trying to create a completely new concept of how you could visualize real estate in the post-pandemic world. And that was something that we saw that with Square Yards, this journey could be more exciting in terms of how we can reach out to the world. And while evaluating, some of the criteria that we were mainly saw, as Vivek said, right, how people perceived personas and how they were connecting these personas problems with respect to the product solutions that they were arriving at. So this was one of the main criteria that we were looking at, not just on the high level basics. Some of the decks were very detailed in terms of how they define a solution to that problem, not just telling that this needs an improvement. So we were looking at how detailed you could drill down to a particular aspect.
Super. And would you like to share with our audience today any criteria on which we, picking or, not exactly judging, but what are the criteria that we'll be looking at on the finalist presentations? Vivek, Sundar, anyone?
Yeah, I think one of the things that looking forward for today's session is the clarity of thought. So whatever you have listed on your presentation, how clearly you are able to present those thoughts. Make it simple, don't make it too complex. So for an average user or an average guy who is our target customer, how does he look at real estate and how you're solving that problem? So I think that's what we will be looking towards.
Perfect. I think, Uday, with that, we're good to start. Uday, let me know if you can hear me all right. I think
I can, yeah.
All good. So with that, I think, Uday, we are good to go. We can call out, I think, like you mentioned, we have 4 finalists for today. Maybe for this round, we will not have the spin-off feed. So I can quickly share anything that you'd like to share before that, or we could get started.
Yeah, no, I think we're good to go. Just keep the timings in mind, which have already been informed to the participants, which is around 8 to maximum 10 minutes. And me and Suhas will be keeping a tab on the timings. So just keep it within that and keep it simple. Keep your communication very clear, and we'll let you know if you're just tuning out in between. Sometimes we have network issues, so just don't panic. We'll make sure that gets fixed. And let's start with the first one. If so you'll have to raise your hand so that we can get you on the stage.
Yep.
First one can be Vritant. If you're with us, can you raise your hand?
Vritant, I've invited you to the stage, so if you can. Yep, yeah. I think he's here. Awesome. Vritant, we can see you if you could. Yep, we can see you. We can hear you all right.
Awesome. We can see you, Vritant.
Vritant, any questions that you have for us before you get started?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. So just to reiterate, it's a 10-minute presentation, 8 minutes to present. We'll give you a heads up a minute before you close, maybe 30 seconds or 60 seconds before that. And the next 2 minutes will be for our mentors to ask you any questions around your deck. So 8 plus 2, that's 10 minutes. If you could just test sharing your screen, then we could start the timer for you. Yeah, awesome. Looks great. Vritant, it's 4:16. Your time starts now. All the best.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vritant, and today I'd like to talk to you about the impact that having a full stack solution can have on the user experience for your users. So for the next 10 minutes, I'd like to talk about the user research I did, then the synthesis that I have to present from that research. Then I'll take a look at some room for improvements for the company itself. And then 2 proposed solutions. We'll visualize those solutions. And finally, I'll break down in terms of features and how we can prioritize amongst those solutions. So to start off with, I spoke to 3 out of these 4 user personas. One was a novice buyer, then there's an experienced buyer, then a person who's looking to rent right now, and then perhaps in the near future buy a house also. Finally, there is a 4th persona that is a person whose profession itself is real estate. So first I spoke to Anand. Anand is a first-time buyer. He just realized that searching itself is a compromise between location, money, and amenities. He is aware that he does not know how exactly to buy a house or what to look for in a house. So from that perspective, buying a house on websites seems shady to him. So as a result, he relies on his references or sometimes uses the websites to search by builders. Then there is Asha. Asha has bought a house before. She knows what she wants in a house, and that shows. She goes to the extent of talking to the people in an area to know what living there is like, looking at real estate boards, etc. The value proposition for her that stood out for me was that she'd like to avoid the need for brokers itself to maximize her profits. Then there's Chetan. Chetan feels like that compromise itself is painful and search takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, which is probably one of the reasons why he's delaying buying the house, is just looking to rent right now. Something that he said that stood out was, I'm open to going to a website for renting, but not necessarily buying to trust issues. So by talking to these people, I've drilled down on some key insights. First is Square Yard should focus on fighting customer inertia, not competition, because what they're really fighting against is quote unquote buying a house from a website. Search itself is slow and painful, so the more easier we make it for them, that's a good way to convert them. They'll be more engaged. Value proposition varies with experience in buying. For novice users, a good way to earn their trust is actually to teach them how to buy a house. And for experienced buyers, we can focus on the need for avoiding brokers and such. Accurate information matters, so definitely Prop VR is a step in the right direction. So the key factors that I drilled down to was there need enough options to choose from, trust in the website or the agent, and good paperwork. These are hygiene factors, but efficient search filters, some good tools for planning, and also news updates of available properties can be good motivating factors. So let's take a look at what Square Yards has for us today. There's certainly room for improvement. The first thing that I see in the website from a mobile phone today is that there is a need for me to press a call to action search bar. So without any key information, there's no sort of enticing reason for me to actually do that. Then there is some information about Hyderabad when I view it from Hyderabad, which may not help me, to make that CTA. Then there's some redundant CTA. Then there are some good tools. They don't exactly tell me how that tool might help me. Finally, you have this long list of listings, which are default lists, may not cater to my needs. And there's like by the time you reach the real estate agent, you probably scroll down 10 times. Right? Let's focus on the problem at hand. The problem is that we are trying to design a single menu, which is trying to cater to multiple user personas, even though their call to action might be different. For example, if somebody is looking to rent a house, there may not be a significant reason to show them home loans, while there may not make any sense to show furniture shopping to a property owner, right? So the first solution I suggest is simple. Simply ask who the user is. Swiggy does a very good job of it. From this screen, I know that not only do they deliver to my home, they'll do what Dunzo does. They'll help me buy meat. And then they still have some real estate left to show me some engaging content as a primary user, which is discounts. Second solution is making searching easy. Now, Yatra and Booking.com also have searches that are a compromise of different attributes. The way they work on that is show the people live results. This will be a good interactive tool that will give me immediate feedback of the decisions that I make. So this can be a good way to make it engaging me and frustration free. Second solution, the way Square Yards differs is that their customers are probably searching for 3 to 4 months, right? So it's a good candidate for not only bookmarking favorite projects, but also saving search criteria and the results that come out. So let's visualize that solution. It's a simple 3-step process. Ask the user who they are, show them some filtering criteria, and try to understand some more in depth in an interacting way of what they're looking for. Finally, show them contextual content. Let's take a look at it. In the landing page, I've given 50% real estate for engaging content. This is the place where we can focus on fighting that customer inertia I talked about, or things like how to get an X percentage of return on investment, how to buy a house online, etc., etc. Then, based on who the user is in this context, we'll direct them to specific call to action that might be relevant to them. Now, there is very less confusion in the screen. It also loads much faster. Then immediately once they choose whether they want to buy a house or rent, they'll do that contextual search, wherein they'll first start with new resale search and then location and then following criteria. The advantages here are you can look at the number of results, which is the live search part that I talked about earlier. Then there is this similar sliding tool like booking.com. We can also integrate the heat map tool that Square Yards already has. And you can see while you're looking at location, you can see your selections for other criteria as well. So you can make like a parallel decision at the same time. Finally, now that you know what the user is here for and you know exactly that the users need, you'll show them some contextual content, a contextual menu like home loan furniture, and then contextual search list. In this screen, there's an opportunity for filtering those search results, and also if they would like, saving those search criteria for revisiting later. Now, when you save the search criteria, there's a good opportunity to collect their lead so that we can try to convert them offline, which I would imagine would happen here a lot. That's it in terms of features. So let's break those down. Homepage itself is an independent feature, but search can be broken down into 3 features: live search, saving the search, and integrating heat map. I think homepage is a very quick and easy in terms of development effort, and there is a lot of return from the customer standpoint. The delight would be tremendous. The bounce rate would go down. Next, I would take a look at live search because the delight would be more than other opportunities. Finally, you can do the save search and then wait for some time, look at the statistics from the impact so far, and decide to do heat map integration or not. That's it. Any questions, guys?
Perfect. I was just going to come and tell you have 30 seconds left, so bang on time. Thank you, Ritan. I think lovely deck. Vivek and Sundar, over to you. Any questions that you?
Yeah, Ritant, I have one question. In your recommendation for search results, you said that we should show some context engagement content on top of the results. So, what are you talking about? Like, what can be those contextual results?
Sure. Let me bring back my screen. Let me know when you can see it again.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good opportunity to communicate the value proposition to the customers, because you need to convince them that buying a house online can make your job easier, right? So I'm given 4 examples here, but these are just some suggestions to think. For people who are deciding whether to pursue real estate itself to invest or not, right? You can show them how they can get X% ROI. You can also teach them how to buy a house online, what to look for in terms of material, area, things like that. And also like kind of alleviate their concern of buying a house from a website. I think you guys have excellent tools. So this can be a good place to demonstrate those tools also.
No, I actually meant the last slide where you
got it.
Not before. Yeah, this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what is this contextual content here?
So for home buyers, you can actually have a slide to collect their lead, to direct them to home loans. They can slide out and you can show them how to buy or where to buy house furniture also. So this is contextual content. If there's a property owner, you can show them the kind of results that you've got for existing clients, things like that.
So more about the ancillary services, right?
That's one thing we can do, but my main focus would be the value proposition itself that we have for them. I found that was lacking in the current website.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Sundar, do you have any questions for Ritan? Perfect, Ritan. Thank you so much. I think wonderful deck, and rooting for you. Stay tuned to the results. All the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Great job, Ritan. Thanks.
Uday, who do we have next? Also, do you want to share anything in between?
Yeah, so we guys, we have an interesting product trivia curated by our team members, Shayan and Vibhuti. So I'll just share my screen with you, and there's a question that we have, and very simple, just to keep it interactive. You can give in your answers in the chat box, and we'll see. So after every presentation, we will ask one question. And you can just come up with the answer to it and answer in the chat box. and whoever answers the most questions, the one who's most active, by the end of it, we have some surprise for you. So just give me a sec. I'll share my screen.
Is this going to be on the chat section or?
Yeah, no, the question I'm just sharing, and the answers you can give in the chat section. Okay?
Sure.
By the way, we have a lot of applause coming in for Ritan. So good job, Ritan, for giving us a good start to the finale. Okay. Yeah. So first question, guys, very quickly. 10 years ago, Dave McClure, venture capitalist, founder of Startup Accelerator, 500 startups. You've probably heard about them. They have come up with a lot of stories around, solid frameworks for startups, growth and product, and so on. Very off the level of Y Combinator and stuff. They come up with a 5-step framework for growth, right? And it's very commonly used. Okay. And we have some answers.
We can go ahead. So the next, I have a bunch of them.
Awesome. So we know who's the winner, and they were right, people, right? So okay, that's the question that we have. After the next presentation, we'll have the next question. We have 5 questions in all. It's not very elaborate. So just seeing who's active, who knows a bit about stuff. So next, can we have? I'll just pause my screen now. And can we have Ananya and team on stage?
Sorry,
can we invite them to us?
Lost you there. Who's the next participant?
Ananya.
Ananya?
Yeah. Ananya or just a Lakshay is there? Do we have Lakshay?
Ananya is there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ananya, we can hear you.
Yes, so my teammate is Munmun and she will be presenting with me as
Sure.
well.
I've invited her to the stage as well, if you could.
Yeah, okay.
So meanwhile, you can note down who was the first one to answer the previous one. It'll be easier for you.
Yeah. No, Vibhuti and Shan are just taking care of that.
Perfect.
And I'll also have a look.
Perfect. And while Ananya and Munmun are getting ready, I think, folks, if you turn your videos and test one of whoever's sharing your screen. Yep, awesome. All the best. Guys, if you could just test sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'll just start sharing my screen, yes. Let me know when is it visible.
Yes.
Is the screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible, Ananya.
Yeah.
Just a sec. Let's have Vivek. I think he's stepped out.
Yes, sir. Sure.
So let's wait a minute for him to join.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we
yes,
start?
Ananya. 8+2, same rules. All the best. You could start off with a quick intro, like take 30 seconds to share a little bit about yourself, and we'll account for that. No worries. All the best.
And just a quick tip to plan your time. Just divide your time with the number of slides that you have. Our earlier participant did a great job with it. He used his entire time, and just do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Munmun, would you like to begin?
Yeah. So we are Munmun Mohanty and Ananya Nandan, final year MBA students from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi. And we are here to present the case on redesigning user experience and communicating fulfillment services for Square Yards. Moving on.
So talking about Square Yards with a quick intro, with annual revenue rate of around $50 million, Square Yards is one of the largest integrated platform, not just in India, but other 9 countries as well. Yes, the problem statement.
So when we got the problem statement, our first approach was to divide the problem statement and come up with a 4-prong approach. We started with the building blocks of dissecting the problem and doing a bit of a groundwork. And then we moved on to understanding the consumers first, which gave us a clear pathway towards our strategy execution. And finally, the cherry on the cake, which is the communication or the marketing plan for the entire strategy. So we started off with interviewing few people and understanding their key pain points, and we came up with the user empathy, which gave us a clarity of thought which we would have otherwise not got. This buyer empathy map gave us some very pinpointed insights which got us to our user personas in the next slide. So as far as the buyers are concerned, we have 3 different kinds of buyers: people who rent and buy residential property, and people who buy commercial property. Although their motivation and their goal might be different, we analyze that their pain point is essentially the same, which is mostly the confusion regarding the paperwork, knowing about the new geography, and the legal and the specific of the agreement that they sign. Here is the journey analysis, and the assumption made by us is that a user coming to the platform for the first time, whatever they take on the entire platform has been our journey analysis. Moving on.
Talking about the seller as well, same as what Munmun mentioned, we took up the empathy map and we were able to pinpoint some major pain points and gains which we might have overlooked in the entire process. From the seller empathy map, we were able to structure 3 user personas: one who was selling of the suppose ancestral home, finding tenants, or even going into the commercial property as a business opportunity. The customer journey analysis has been done taking into consideration when the user lands on the website for the first time and what are the emotions that they feel at every point of the user journey. The same has been done for agent user persona as well. Someone who is getting into the business for the first time, switching from residential to commercial, or transitioning their entire business into an online mode. The customer journey for a seller as well as an agent on the website remains the same. Talking about the first mobile experience that we get as a user on the home page, it is worth mentioning that it is a clutter-free home page. However, the sliding navigation only show limited services. Also, the navigation also creates a little bit of friction in the mobile web, and the hamburger menu on the left does not mention the services that Square Yards provide. So, as in the working session we had with the panel, Uday mentioned about Swiggy having usage of verb like buy, rent, something which more of resonates with the user as to what they want to achieve. So probably using verbs like buy, rent, sell, or getting an agent would help resonating with the audience. Also, the need to highlight the services is very much essential on the homepage itself, which the user does not find as of right now. Talking about the rent, so we have taken first as rentals because it has the highest conversion rate. However, these are the kind of solutions that can be implemented on other pages as well. So we have this wonderful feature called comparing the different properties. However, there are a lot of clicks that go behind when we actually have to compare when we have shortlisted all the properties. So rather having it on the like on the top of the page would actually reduce the number of clicks the customer goes through. Talking about rentals itself, usually when a person looks for a rented property, they want it in a location specific properties. Giving top rates very far away from those location would be of no use. So recommending top projects nearby location would actually help Square Yards upselling them. Tutorials because we learned about this insight that when we give them tutorials, so watching a video is the next big thing to educate people. This would actually lead to building trust with the user, and Square Yards would be that platform where they can then convert the entire user journey. There will be more conversion rate. So because we can have at the end of the video CTAs, so we'll be educating them and we'll be converting them as well on the website. Munmun?
Moving on to the next part, we gathered this insight that whenever someone is looking for a property on the platform, they have to go through multiple clicks to arrive at the picture. And having a picture of a property is a very good way of knowing what you're signing up for. So we have changed the way you display the picture on the website by keeping it in a carousel mode probably. So while the user is looking for other information that is conducive to him making a conversion, Pictures will add on to his experience without him having to lengthen his user journey on the platform. Moving on, here also we have added some impactful work. So whenever we are making a sale on an e-commerce site, there is some urgency created by, let's say, the big billion day sales or something. So we feel that if we do not avail it right away, probably we'll miss out on the chance. So that entire process of creating a FOMO among the users is a very crucial aspect, increasing the conversions defined by the company. So we have outlined some, for example, here we have 19 views. Instead of that, if we put 19 currently viewing or 1 currently inquired, it will further nudge the user into thinking that this is a very good property and I should probably get my hands on it. Locality reviews is important because suppose I, as a user persona, is moving to Delhi. I might have misgivings about living in a location known as Preet Vihar. But if I know what the area is about, other members on the Square Yards platform itself, maybe I'll make a better decision because there will be certain social proof to my purchase decision on Square Yards. Moving on.
So improving the seller persona and the agent persona itself, we notice that during the property registration, there's a lot of fatigue in the mind of the customer because they have to fill in all the information at one go. There are times that when the agent does not even know that what information needs to be entered in the next processes, in the next steps. So a simple save as draft option would enable them to come back to their property registration, and this will increase the verified properties per month and increase in property listings as well. Going to the fulfillment service, yes, Munwan?
This is the second big recommendation that we are making to the team currently. After improving the user experience, we thought that we should capitalize on the revenue model, by which we came up with the rentals and the services with 2 plans known as SY Edge, which is a loyalty program for the users, which is essentially a revenue inflow, with introductory cashback, which would be the very initial outflow for the company. We've also come up with SY partnership, where leading partners like Urban Clap, Rento Mojo could partner with Square Yards because they have a very high brand recall among people in the metropolitan cities. Recently, when we were doing a competitive survey, we understood that Magic Bricks is currently doing the same thing, partnering with Urban Clap. And with COVID setting in, people would like that every other sanitation services and home services is just a click away. So I think this is why this is a next big idea for Square Yards. Moving on. So we identified 3 target groups for this particular fulfillment service, starting off with people who've never made a purchase with Square Yards but wish to avail services like interior decoration, renovation, etc. The second target groups are people who rented or bought on Square Yards but would like additional services like plumbing or whitewashing or maybe furniture rentals, etc. The third would be the vendors or the service providers onboarding, which will give us the other side, the other polar opposite side of the business, who are the people who will provide that business to the other 2 target groups. Moving on.
So the customer pain points that we got through the customer interviews, the major pain point was the target group one. They do not buy or they do not want to buy, rent or sell properties. They're already property owners, just want to avail services. And talking about the fulfillment services, when we want to push it to them, this is the need of the hour. So our goal is to keep the fulfillment services at the top of the mind of the customer and thereby increasing the usage of portal in the daily lives. How are we going to achieve this goal? Nudging the users to buy this at the right point in the user journey by upselling them the appropriate services. How are we going to do this? Positioning the right services on the listing pages for the right customer at the right moment of time that we have clearly described with these images. Like at the point of time, they'll get the right service CTA. This will be done from making the profile of the customer.
We just have less than a minute. If you could,
yes, we'll just wrap it up. Yes. So, Munmun, can you take this up?
So this essentially shows that could create an avenue to create database for a more personalized services to the consumers for the fulfillment services. Moving on. Moving on is the market, our vendor verified pages, because this will allow the consumers to understand the credibility of people coming into houses. Moving on is our marketing strategy, which will be starting off with the influencer marketing. Here also we managed to get the user persona of different influencers based on the channels they operate in and the strategy in the same channels. Then we move on to a social media campaign, which is basically user generated content, which will not cost high to Square Yards, but also generate more effective engagement on the portal and hence more conversions. The last idea is the partnership with print media.
Awesome, awesome. So sorry, Mohan. I think lots of very interesting points. Unfortunately, we're just out of time, so that was the last 30 seconds for you to wrap up. But I think we got a fair idea towards the end. I think you have three interesting strategies for them to GTM. Vivek, Sundar, over to you. Do you guys have any questions for this team?
Yeah, I think the most comprehensive deck that we have got and very well covered
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
points. Maybe you could have cut off the marketing, social media marketing and influencer marketing that was going a bit overboard. But rest very well presented also and very well made. Your research was awesome. I just had one question. So you talked about creating a subscription service for Square Arts. So what do you have in mind? Like, what can that subscription service be?
Munmun? Yeah.
Yeah. So suppose I am a user who's just rented a property with Square Yards, and I am as a persona, I do not have my parents with me, so I need everything at the beck and call of the app or something which is more easily accessible. So suppose I'm here for a project for the next 3 to 6 months. I know that I'll be availing probably some services which is important in my house. Maybe a occasional whitewashing with the consent of my agent, or something, maybe food services or furniture rentals. So it is not for the long term. I'm not staying in that place for a year or more, but I'm only staying for 3 months for a project. So in a scenario like that, I personally, when I was moving to Mumbai, I faced a hassle to find all these services nearby, and not for 3 months, because nobody was ready to rent for 3 months. So probably we can come up with this pocket size subscription model, basically like how Spotify does to cater to user needs. We can do the same thing for people who have these capsule needs, if I can put it that way, especially for the target group who's constantly moving for their jobs and for other commitments across cities in India.
Okay, great. Sundar?
One second. Yeah, yeah, one of the most comprehensive deck, as Vivek said, right? Great job. My question to you was in terms of user persona, right? When you did user persona, did you also dive into the second part of the problem statement? Like most of the user persona analysis or interviews that people have done, I've seen on the first part of the problem statement. On the second part of the problem statement, did you did some research on that?
Yes, we did. For the customer interviews we took up, for the buyer and seller itself, there was this constant pain point that we were able to identify was that we bought. What if
Hello.
we are not buying a buying a property right now? And what if we want to buy it later? We are already living in a property, like a rented property or something like that. So how do I just avail the services from Square Yards? The other pain point was they're not able to associate Square Yards with fulfillment services right now, because even at the home page they are not able to find the services that Square Yards is trying to give to them, which are 360-degree end to end. Also, there was this other pain point that suppose a person is looking for a rented property right now, at the given user journey at that particular point of time they do not even know what kind of legalities they would be requiring, what kind of services they might require at the end of, when everything goes like when everything is done and dusted. So these are the kind of pain points that we found from the people as well regarding just the services. So these are the pain points that we have also mentioned in slide number 17 as well. What are the pain points and what our goal would be to nudge the user at the right point of their journey, right kind of services, which would also be done from the recommendations we'll be giving to them from the data profile, from the data we'll be getting our hands on from the profile they'll be making. So we'll be nudging them to make the profile as well, which is not a specification right now. We do not nudge people to make a profile, but we'll probably make it mandatory later. Like if they want to compare or they want to talk to an agent or something like that, they first have to make a full-fledged profile so that we can get our hands on some good data so that we can give them good recommendations later.
Great. Yeah. Sundar, do you have any questions? Vivek, any other questions?
No, we're done.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Vivek. Ananya, Munmun, great deck. I think very comprehensive as our mentor said. And all the best. Do stay tuned. I think just 2 more decks and then we'll be announcing. All the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Uday, over to you. Do you want to share a little bit about what's in store for our winners today, and then we could do quickly wrap up the next set of the trip and jump into a third part.
Awesome. So, as promised initially, the finalists and the winners of out of all the decks that are presented today are eligible for interviews for product roles at Square Yards, and this can be open for a full-time role or an internship. We have some Amazon vouchers from, again, sponsored by the Square Yards team to give away. And by the end of the session, we have a closed room sort of networking where we can have some of the winners of our today's product trivia plus the finalists of today's session for just some one-on-one off the chat with Vivek and Sundar and ourselves. So really excited to see how many of these finalists get hired at Square Yards finally.
Awesome.
Because we've heard Square Yards is going super aggressive and growing at a phenomenal pace. So would ideally want all the participants to get
we would like to have them all.
That's great.
And one more thing is, all those who submitted decks, they will get Amazon vouchers.
Oh, wow.
And then,
that's awesome. Thanks so much for the support, Vivek. I think this means a lot to our community. And to everyone else who hasn't participated, I think take this as a learning opportunity. Everything else is a cherry on the top, but the entire session gives so much, a chance of just putting your product thinking to some amount of application. These are all real world problems. The company spends so much time, our volunteers spend so much time behind the stage, just to put this together. So in case you haven't taken part this time thinking that, what it's to, everything else is a cherry on top, right? What we want to do is bridge good talent to the community, to the companies, and as well as give opportunities to our community to work on real world problems. So take this opportunity, guys. I think there's still lots and lots of folks who are viewing this. Thanks again, Square Yards team, and then if we could move on to the next section.
Yeah. A couple of things. We're just getting a poll, live poll in place, so the audience can also kind of vote in their score for each of the decks, so that the judges have an idea what you think about it. So Shan and Vibhuti, if you're watching, just send me the link first, and we'll put it on the comment box. To the next half of the product trivia, so we'll just spend a minute on this. And next, Lakshay, if you could be ready. I personally loved Lakshay's deck as well, so super excited to see how he ends it. So Lakshay, just be ready. After this question, we'll have you on the stage. Just a sec. So we have some generic questions and we have some Square Yards specific questions. So let's have a couple of questions from the Square Yards side. So which of these startups is not acquired by Square Yards? So this should be relatively easy for those of you who kind of, in your research. Is it Azuro? Is it Props AMC? Is it Prop VR? Or is it Prop AI? Relatively easy. compared to the earlier one. Okay, we have enough answers. We have another question very quickly. Okay, one guy has got it wrong. So we have one guy who's kind of not done the research. Okay, let's have the next question. Which of these features is available on Square Yards currently? Is it heat maps? Is it loan eligibility? Is it packers and movers? Or is it realtors network? We have a mix of answers. People are answering all the options till now: heat maps, loan eligibility, realtors, and so on. So can we have Vivek answer this one, or Sundar, anyone?
Yeah, we don't have packers and movers, but we are going to launch it soon.
Okay.
It's in the pipeline.
Perfect.
I think Vedant won this one, and the previous one, I think Milan won. I think 1 point to both of them. Fastest fingers first.
Awesome. Let's squeeze in another one. Just give me a sec. Let's squeeze in another question for everyone. This is a generic one. This is not covering, this is in general for the product community. Which of these are prioritization techniques? A, JTBD, Circles Key, Moscow, Rice, Kano, and C is DASI, GIST, and JTBD. So we are getting some answers. This is a difficult one, or how is it? Okay, we just have two answers. People are saying option number C. Any other answers on this? Okay. Oh, sorry. There are a lot of answers. I was just on the top of this thing. Okay. B is the most common answer. So yeah, we have that right. Kano is something which even Sundar talked about very much in detail in our working sessions. Just free to sort of look into these. Super important when it comes to prioritizing any product initiatives. So let's give it a pause. A lot of questions for you, but let's do that after we have Lakshay's presentation. So Lakshay, can we have you on the stage? If you could raise your hand, we'll add you.
Uday, you might have to stop sharing.
Okay, we have Lakshay.
Hi,
Lakshay is accompanied by his team member. So I don't know if both of them are presenting or it's just one.
We both are presenting there.
Awesome. Just go ahead. You're on stage. Just give a very quick intro and let's jump into the presentation.
Sure. Pratibha, can you come up?
Pratibha, if you could also raise your hand, and Suhas or me will allow you to join. Okay, and Lakshay, we can't see your
screen.
We can't see if you have.
We can see him actually. It's just the tech. Yeah.
Okay.
We can see Lakshay.
Okay. Something.
Awesome.
Pratibha, we can.
Sure. So I'll just start off with a quick introduction of mine. So my name is Lakshay Singhal. I am currently working as a product manager at a tech firm. Prior to this, I tried to build a couple of companies, couldn't succeed. So yeah, that's my very small intro. Personally, I love playing sports and multiple other things, but I'll hand it over to Pratibha.
Thanks, Akshay. So I'm Pratibha Kiwal, and I'm currently working as a front-end developer with Mr. Cooper. And I am actually a product enthusiast, and I've been working on myself and looking out for API nodes. So yeah, that's about me. Thank you.
Who is Mr. Cooper? If you could share a line.
Mr. Cooper is basically a mortgage company based out of US. So I'm working with them as a.
Interesting. Sounded like a super popular thought leader or something. Anyway, go ahead, guys.
Awesome.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, sure. Thanks to us and Team Squareas for this opportunity. And yes, we would love to keep this interactive. If you have any questions in between, please feel free to shoot. So without further ado, I started by asking my partner in crime for this teardown, Pratibha, a very simple question. How shitty was her flat search experience in Bangalore while recalling my struggle days? And oh dear, honestly, can't share the exact words, but they were not very pleasant. Now we were in the right frame of mind to put our PM hats on. That's when we went to the problem statement shared. Square's key agenda is to enhance mobile interaction experience and ensure low bounce rate and keep a check on the leaky marketing funnel. We approached it by setting out the right goals, the key KPIs to validate our hypothesis, and in-depth study of the current Square application. We both inherently agreed and had a firm belief any app design is meant to accomplish joy. We honestly didn't think much about the competition and did our best to apply for principal approach. We studied certain applications in general, which are super successful, and tried to tear down the reason behind it. Again, honestly, we didn't know Square is present in 9 countries. I mean, kudos to them. I personally loved and kind of bullish upon the virtual reality feature to view the house remotely. While that's just one of the many lovely features Square has, we try to understand why customers will use Square Yards, and if a customer use it once, why will it keep coming back? But to answer this question, we had to first understand the customers we are targeting. Please note, we limited ourselves to potential TG looking to either buy, rent, or sell their property. We haven't covered commercial property in the study. We followed the PEN framework to understand the practical need, emotional desire, and captivating narrative from their viewpoint. Practically, everyone seeks convenience and an element of trust. Emotionally, they want to get their job done ASAP. And their narrative was they need a buttery, smooth, personalized, and contextual experience. We moved on to understand the hook canvas model, which is kind of heart of our approach. This model essentially shares why people get loyal or hooked to any application. It is divided in 4 segments. First, trigger, which can be either internal or external. Then comes an element of action, which suggests what is the simplest action user can take in anticipation of the reward. Next comes the actual reward, which is kind of fulfilling, but yet leaves the user wanting more. And finally comes the investment, which end user does that increases the likelihood of user back. Let's quickly take an example of Facebook. First time someone probably shared a link or casually asked you for your Facebook ID. Well, that happened with me, and it was a perfect example of external trigger. Then you might have either made an account online and saw some glimpses of your friends and probably liked a couple of them and connected with a few folks. That's the action I took. Next day, I saw someone tagging me in some photograph. I, in anticipation of a reward, opened the web app again and decided to download the app on my cell phone. Next, I uploaded a new pic of mine, the investment I made, and then again saw some comments. This notification now serves as a perfect internal trigger. We just try to implement the same for square yards, which Pratibha will walk you through.
Thanks, Lakshay. So this was basically the first phase, what we call as the trigger or the discovery of the application. So initially we did a simple Google search for, for buying a property or even renting a property, and we couldn't really find square yards anywhere in the search results on the Google. So while this is not really the central problem we are solving today, and we understand that, customer acquisition or growth is targeted once retention is sorted, we also thought of sharing a couple of quick pointers for this, for both internal and external triggers, basically. So first, we believe that if we come up with a tool wherein property once listed by square yards gets reflected on other major rental platforms, for example, no brokers or housing.com for that matter, it will indirectly actually help us acquiring new customers, because it will be solving hassle of people, posting the same advertisement over different platforms. Secondly, for internal triggers, creating a smart property journey route and adding personalized notifications can help us big time. Now moving on to the action section. So as earlier by Lakshay, that design is meant to accomplish joy and simplicity is the key. And design is basically supposed to be a conversation and not a monologue. So by the same principle, we practice it on the landing page, and we have focused on the 2 action, as you can see right here: rent, buy, manage property, and the post property ads. By the way, please make Mr. Squad a potential fictional character which could actually transform into AI virtual assistant in the future. We also wanted to give focus attention on the key features of square yards, and hence I've mentioned in the landing page on the bottom. Yeah. Next slide. Next, we have quintessential filters in one screen to see overhead of either scrolling or switching between different screens for both the rent and the buy or sell personas. We have also added a couple of filters here for, for example, for rent, we have added tenant type, listed by, and furnishing status. And for the sale, we have added error registered, possession status, and property age, which are missing in the current app and are super important from the end user's perspective. Okay, so now we have landed over the search results page, and the very first thing I would like to mention here that we absolutely love the connect over WhatsApp feature upfront. And adding to that, we also suggest to add a search nearby places in the search box, because sometimes the user is actually open to find a property or locate into a property which is nearby. And lastly, from the text autocomplete aspect, we should tweak it to display the relevant address, which is for the keywords the user has entered. For example, when I'm entering BTM now, it is suggesting property in BTM layout or villas in BTM layout, instead of suggesting me BTM layout 1 or BTM layout 2. So that's another thing. Yeah, so now for the search results for the buy use case, the top agent's card right here, it could actually be improvised to cater exact locations the user has selected. And then we could also add an overlay icon, which is on the right side. If if you can see, for the tools which Square Yard has in place, for example, heat maps or price versus size, which are very critical and relevant to buy properties. Also, again, I would like to praise the team for the agent rating feature because it's very nice and helps establish a sense of trust among the users. Okay, so now we have to the most awaited part, that is investment, which is the key in deciding the likelihood of the users coming back to a product. Here, our first bet would be Smart Journey feature, which creates the best route for visiting all the properties a user is interested in or has shortlisted based on the current location. It also allows the users to update the status of the current location, current visit, something like marking it as visited or done, which will then notify the next property owner the approximate time for the interested buyer or tenant visit. Since no application is solving this customer issue in real time, this could be a big wow factor for Square Yards. Also, another key input is creating personalized notifications based on users' area of interest, really helping creating a personalized user experience and act as an internal trigger. Okay, so now I'll be handing over to Lakshay to walk you through few additional recommendations and validations.
Thanks, Pratibha. While we shared some prominent recommendations, few others, like a simple way to log in, either via Facebook or Google plugin, can help reduce friction a lot. We can ask for mobile number from such users when they seek to connect with potential buyers, potential customers. Another quick input would be write redirection after successful login. Currently, we are getting some garbage data, however, essentially should be redirected to the page of interest. Also, we can better organize the hamburger menu as shared in the diagram. We also recommend to give a quick how to walkthrough while listing a new property. We all understand, जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. This can be again topped with GAN neural nets for sharper image quality. We also recommend for better cross-selling or upsell targeting, wherein if I am for a house, I get relevant ads for either availing home loan or furnishing the house. Same goes while I'm looking out for rent.
Lakshay, we're just on time. This would probably be your last slide. 30 seconds to go if you could wrap up.
Yeah. So I'll wrap it up in the next 30 seconds. Also, we have come up with an ABC framework, which essentially means adoption, business impact, and change in user and subsequent success and failure metrics as mentioned. But yes, the whole exercise is futile if not backed with data. And we believe the recommendations we shared will impact the KPIs as mentioned in the infographic. Additionally, we would love to work deep onto behavior analytics and discover some hidden gems. Something we wanted to include was lean decision metrics, a feature like flats and flatmates, which potentially can increase engagement to the next level, and a few cool GIFs to summarize to end our presentation with. But yeah, all said and done, due credit to the folks who have built this version. That's where we end for now. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks so much, Lakshay, Pratibha. Great deck. Quickly jumping to Sundar, Vivek, any questions for our team?
Yeah, thanks, Lakshay and Pratibha. One of the most interesting presentations, and the amount of things that we could take back from this presentation is enormous.
Thanks.
I especially love the Mr. Squad user persona on the homepage and then the Smart Journey thing. I just had one question. What is, you mentioned GAN for
Correct.
better image. So what is that and how do we implement it? Like, what does it do?
So GAN is again a neural net's way of improving certain images. This comes under machine learning typically. So let's say currently, while I was browsing multiple platforms, I see many shabby pictures being uploaded, right? Which is probably clicked from not a good camera. And GAN can actually help us enhance the quality of the images. That's the overall idea behind that. I mean, I can go more technical, but that's the overall idea.
Yeah, I think we are already working on it. So thanks for pointing it out.
That's great.
We would be launching our own AI enhancement tool on the apps.
Oh, great to know, Vivek.
I think, one of the very, very detailed slides of all these 20 slides that I saw, what stood out was also you used some new kind of framework in terms of trigger action, reward, and investment. I think I like that particular angle towards product and how you kind of segregated and you presented that in a very, very clean format. So that was quite exciting. Also, during the finish, I loved the concept of putting the kind of like map in terms of how you kind of put the user like adoption ABC framework and impact KPIs. I think one takeaway from my side for you guys would be like also you could have some points like probably added some kind of quantitative metrics on terms of like because you have identified so many features. So how do we like from these features quantifiably able to segregate the top 3 or top 4 or in terms of prioritization? That could have been a much more like a good takeaway for you guys while you do.
Definitely, Sundar. Thanks for the input. I mean, probably we were on crunch of time because Pratibha
I understand.
But we would have actually loved and we planned to put it in the last slide, but we had to submit the deck. But yes, thanks for the input. Any questions you have for me?
Lakshay, if you get some time this weekend, do add in that last slide and shoot it over again to Sundar. He'll probably share his email towards the end, and it'll be a good discussion.
Yeah.
But no, thanks so much, Vivek, Sundar. Any other questions that you'll have for that?
I'm good. Great job, Pratibha and Lakshay.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Really enjoyed working on this.
Loved your deck, Pratibha. Loved your deck, Lakshay. And all the best. Do stay tuned. Just one more deck to go. And hope to see you guys on the top.
Yeah. Good one, guys.
Thanks for sharing for us.
Thank you.
Uday, I just have a suggestion. Can we move on directly to the next slide and then maybe as a mentor the filing, then we can do the questions and as well as the poll and
no issue.
Yeah.
No issue.
Awesome.
Let's
you could probably announce the fourth. I think it's Trinika and Samarth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Trinika and Samarth, if we could have you.
If you guys are in, do raise your hands. Or we could shoot you quick.
Yeah, we have one.
I will have to. Samarth is here, and Trinika, I'm inviting you. Trinika, unfortunately, you are in the light mode, so I'm not able to invite you to the stage. Would it be possible for you to rejoin? Sam, we're looking for your deck, honestly. I think that was a fun deck. Probably have 5 minutes to get through that. But
okay, no, so that's another Sam.
That's
okay.
My bad. Samarth, in case you turn your video, I think we can see your deck. In case you could.
My video is on actually.
Okay, it's probably me. I can see Trinika now. You guys could see Samarth's video?
Yeah.
No.
Trinika, we can see that you've joined the stage now. In case you want to try your camera. And
okay, Samarth is also there. Rather than
I think one goes and one.
Yes, getting added.
Samarth, we can see you now. Awesome. If you could share your screen again. Meanwhile, whenever Trinika joins, you can jump into the presentation.
So should I start?
If you're ready,
go ahead.
All the best. Next 8 minutes are yours, and we give you a heads up. Unfortunately, disconnected. I think they're having an issue. I think one of you all might have to take up the stage. You all could choose who wants to present. Someone would take up the presentation in case.
Okay. Okay, I'll start.
Uday, don't accept it, right? You're accepting. Don't accept. I'll invite them to the stage.
Okay. Just invite Samarth or one of them.
I think they might be joining with the same link.
Yeah, that's possible. I think so.
No, that's not the issue.
No, so basically on my side, the internet connection problem.
No worries. Trinika, maybe this time, one last time, you could try sharing your video.
Yeah.
And Samarth, in case you could share your screen.
Yes, I have done that.
We can see you. I think all good. Trinika, we can not see you, but our video's on. In case you could come in the frame.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, you can readjust your map. camera.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, all good to start, Samat. The next 8 minutes, Trinika, the next 8 minutes are yours. All the best.
Okay, so both of us, Trinika and I, both of us are pre-final year students at BITS Pilani. So we'll quickly move on with the deck. Okay. So we, based on the problem statement, we identified our goal, which was to increase the user engagement on mobile and web app and make customers aware of the 360-degree services offered by Square Yards. And the target audience is all the stakeholders that are involved. And the approach, you can see it like, okay. So we did research about Square Yards, like about their recent activities, like acquisition of Prop VR, and we also researched about the market trends, especially during COVID times, which have hit adversely the real estate industry. But it has also opened quite a few opportunities, which if Square Yard could grab it, it would give them an edge. So yes, we rolled out our questionnaire, and the basic idea was to focus to know how comfortable people are using on platforms for property dealing, because it involves large transactions and third parties and stuff. So it was to know how much people are comfortable. So I'll quickly walk you through to the user persona. So this is Tina. All of us can relate to her, as she is just 23 of our age group, and she has just graduated, and she has come to Mumbai, and she'll be starting with her job. So she wants to rent an apartment, a girls only apartment, and so basically she needs to find a place, decent flatmates, a good landlord. Yes, that is the persona of Tina. And our second user persona is of Akash, who represents first time buyer. He is about to get married. He wants to move into a new house, and he's looking for a house and an agent who can help him in his job search, in his house search. And he is a busy lad. He works in an IT firm. So yes, an agent would be of great help for him. And this is Mr. Joy. He is a family man. He is married. He is being transferred to New York. He is at a very senior level position, and he's too busy with his work. So he's looking for an agent who can help him sell his house and his furniture and everything before he moves to New York. And we did a competitive analysis, which and tabulated. Like we compared Square Yards with its competitors based on certain features, and we tabulated it. And now Trinika will carry on with the problem identification.
So after understanding the pain points of different personas, we can subcategorize poor user experience into poor UX and persona-based issues. So poor UX includes poor navigation, which is mainly due to improper position of menu, due to lack of voice assistant and cluttered information, and absence of distinctive info about service and how the app works. Then trust is another cause of poor UX, which is majorly due to lack of testimonials, rating features, and FAQs. Then the third issue is the poor onboarding process, which is because of lack of personalization and the technical errors. Now let's move to the persona based issues. So different persona felt need for different feature and services. So like buyers felt that other services like rental furniture, packer and mover, home services should be added for meeting end to end requirements. And similarly rental user also have very similar requirement as buyers, but they also wanted this co-living features. Then for seller, major issue was absence of notification tab, and there were no photos of the neighborhood, and there was no way of tenant verification. Next slide, Saman. Yeah, so here we figured out that the absence of distinctly visible option for all the services, cluttered information, poor advertising, and additional services caused this second problem. And so after finding the root cause of both the problems, we came up with 8 major solutions and some additional modifications. So our first solution is onboarding revamp process. So now taking the Tina's case, after the revamp, she will land on this first screen where we have focused on making the experience more personalized. Then with the help of visuals, we will explain Tina how home search works. She will become more friendly with the entire process. Then we will show the page corresponding to the buy or rent option she has chosen. The KPIs for this, for measuring the impact of this solution, can be the increase in number of click on searches and a time to complete the onboarding process. Now, after clicking on the rent option, Tina chooses the co-living option. Here, finding a flatmate feature will allow Tina to find the type of people she wants to live with. With more users of this feature, the communities can be formed on the basis of home state or maybe age. And she can also select the gender, room type, washroom type, and budget as per her choice. All these options will result in more personalized result for Tina. And KPIs that can be used for this solution are average number of click on finding the flatmate icon and the conversion rate. So here the conversion rate will be user getting a flatmate to the number of user clicking on the finding a flatmate icon. And in this, I've also added the voice assistant feature. So as Tina is very lazy and she does not want to type the location again and again or workplace address again and again. So here is the voice assistant feature for it. And then we have also added the easy access bar, which will reduce the clicks and will make frequently used option directly accessible. The first one is notification icon, where user get notified with all the development and conversation with different stakeholders. The second one shows all the available coupons, best offers, and deals. And the second is the service icon, which will show all the services offered by the Square Yards. And the heart icon will show the shortlisted property and allow the user to compare them. And the last one is the profile icon, which will take user to his personal profile. Now this is the list of property which will appear after clicking on search. So here we have made small changes like a workplace pop-up, which will directly show the time and distance from the user's workplace to the property. And the info icon will also provide the information about what do we mean by the preferred partner. A simple pop-up at this page itself will make Tina more informed. Now, next is the onboarding process for Akash, which is who is a buyer, and it is very similar to Tina. Here, the only difference is Akash started his search by Googling the apartment on sale rather than directly using the app. And here we observe that Square Yard doesn't even exist on the first page of Google search, indicating poor market visibility. So Square Yard can improve its market visibility using search engine optimization and with the effective use of blogs. Next slide, Simon. Yeah. So all these three features are targeted for buyer and rental persona based problem. So the first one is the advanced filter, in which we have added 5 filters in addition with the current filters. The KPI for measuring the impact of this feature are increase in the number of selection of new filters added and the time spent on the search result page. The next is advertisement of other services feature. In this, after few properties, so rather than just showing top project of some location, we can advertise about our own service. And KPI for this can be click-through rates and a number of transactions to the number of clicks. And the third one is the photo feature, which will show the photos of various landmarks along with the distance, which will increase user trust and engagement. KPI for this can be the click-through rate and the cost per action. In this last screen, we have shifted the contact info to the top as it hinder with the scrolling and show less info on the screen. Now Sumat will
earlier property images is like if I am a seller and so the posting photos is a bit of a tiresome step of generic areas. Like if I live in a society, if someone already has listed a property and he has used this building's photo or nearby parks or anything's pictures that have already been posted, we can utilize those also, as it will ease the user experience, and more the number of photos, there is an increase of chances of the property being sold. And now we revamped the home page. You can see like on the left there is a hamburger which has all the resources of RE industry and like of Square Yards, which will make the users more aware. There we can have blogs, frequently asked questions, which will increase the trust. And on the rightmost top corner, we have a finding an agent, because agents are like most of the people, they look for agents, and having that in the homepage will be very nice. And there are recommended properties card. There are Square featured card, which has featured properties in different categories. There is a top investment zone, and there are testimonials. And the last thing that we added was so after you
Smart,
click on the services button.
Samarth, Trinika, this would be your last slide and last 30 seconds.
Okay.
All the best.
Yes, yes. So when you click on the services button, this page will open, which has all the 360 end-to-end services which Square Yards wish to provide, and like furniture on rent. Like some people who live on rent and don't know how long they are going to stay there, so they can rent furniture, packers and movers, and sanitization, and all the paperwork also, because especially during COVID times, no touch is what we look forward to, and having all this in the mobile will definitely we give us an edge. So that is all. And in the last, we prioritize the solutions. Services page and easy access bar is the topmost priority. We use reach, impact, ease of implementation to score each feature. Yes, that is all.
So here the number one priority you would say is services page and easy access bar, right?
Yes, and followed by a homepage revampation, onboarding revampation, and advertising cards. They are also very high priority, but the ease of implementation is a bit tough for them, so that is why they came second.
Awesome. No, fantastic deck, guys. Also, given that I'm pre-final here, this is amazing. Vivek, Sundar, over to you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done, guys. So what I like about your deck is how you connected your personas with the solutions. And your top two recommendations, service page, we were already working on it, but we got some more ideas. So it's going to go live this weekend. And easy access bar is also coming very soon, maybe as soon as next week. So well done, guys. The question that I had was on these. So we are anyways implementing this service page separately. But did you guys think about how do we integrate these services within various search results, or when he's looking at the property? So how do we integrate services within the search?
Like we showed in one of the slides, I'll point it out. Like in between the search results, we can have ads, like you can pay rent and win offers and vouchers and all. In between the search results, we can have those sorts of ads. And also the idea of putting the services icon just in the center at the bottom of the bar was like it in the home page, it will give, like, people will view it. So that was also one of.
Like right now, I think in the people don't know what services Square offer because it is too cluttered. Like I also in the first go, I didn't realize Square Yards offers this services because there is no information about it. So and the integration part. So by adding this easy access bar, definitely it is going to solve this aspect. And yeah, by integrating is if I am searching for rent, so rental services will be shown to me in between. And if I am searching for home, so maybe sanitization service or home service like painting or something will be shown to me.
More personalized approach, like, and the idea was to, like, people when they log in, when they onboard on the app, they give their details, and we recommend, our recommendation system recommends them properties and all, like, services that they would that would be relevant.
That's great. Sundar?
Wonderful job, guys. I think I would also not believe if this was content done by a pre-final year students, right? So that's really commendable. I think all the product folks out there, right? One thing that I really loved about their slide was, see, making a hypothesis or giving a product recommendations is something part of our job, right? But one of the most important things is like mapping KPIs and measurements with respect to it. I think what they had like really mapped it with every recommendation. You can see that there's a box which tells that these are the KPIs they have mapped along with it, which is the hypothesis they want to measure with that. So that's a key learning that I think, even though there might be some things I would personally add in terms of KPIs, but I think that attempt is really good.
100% agree. I think fantastic deck, guys, and rooting for you all. Hopefully, Vivek, Sundar, in case you all have further questions, we'll definitely discuss. But all the best, Trinika. All the best, Samad. I think this will.
Yeah, I have a very quick point, guys. Amazing work. My only sort of feedback, because you guys are young and evolving, is, in terms of the cognitive overload, it's just too much for on one slide to consume in terms of the text and even the kind of value that you are adding on every slide. If you can just break it out, and spread it out, the value of each of slide will really go up. Vivek and Sundar are anyway in this, it's their bread and butter. They know their product inside out. But for the rest of the audience, some of it would have been, too much to consume on every slide. So just take that aside. Rest, other than that, great job.
Uday, we'll do one thing. We'll do like a learning session before the next teardown on what all people.
Yeah.
But great feedback on that.
Yeah.
And all the best again.
We are discussing that. We will, with help from Sundar, Vivek, and ourselves, let's summarize some of these learnings for the larger ecosystem, and maybe that will be useful for the Square Yards existing product team as well. So look forward.
Sure thing. No, let's.
Suhas, we have just to conclude, we have one more slide. We have one more participant, but what we could do is we can give an let's give an option to Vivek and Sundar if they are open to one more deck, Sam's deck, if you remember.
Yes.
Or what we can do is we can have Vivek and Sundar sort of go offline a bit and mark there, or they can go on mute and mark the slides while Sam presents to the rest of the audience.
I think I prefer option 2 if that is okay. I think Vivek and
option 2 is better.
Vivek, Sundar, don't go off the stage. You could just switch off your mute your audio and video, and whenever you're ready, you could sync over WhatsApp, and whenever you're ready in say in the next 5 minutes, do come back. Meanwhile, we have something planned for the rest of the audience.
Yeah, and just one quick thing, the networking session. So half an hour that we have planned for the winners and the finalists. The networking session, let's do it over the weekend. Let's not do it today because we've of stretched.
That's fine. I mean, we can decide. That's not a problem. Let's figure that.
We can decide that one-on-one.
Uday, the only thing is that both me and Sundar will not be available this weekend, so we can
do next weekend.
Folks, let's take that offline. It's fine, right? We'll figure that out. Not a problem. Right. Okay. Vivek, Sundar, you guys could sync. And Uday, do you want to join them backstage or?
Let me join that, and you get Sam.
I'll do that, and you come back whenever we can. You can help them and come back.
Done.
Awesome. So wonderful set of decks so far, folks. You will put an audience poll as well, so you all can also share your feedback. If anyone wants to come on stage and share some feedback, please feel free to. But meanwhile, we have something interesting planned for you all. Sam, in case you could raise your hand, I could invite you on stage. It's a fun presentation. The first time we saw this, we were like, "Hey, is he serious about this?" But then we started chatting with him, and when I saw the deck, I was like, "Hey, what is this? Don't tell me it's one of the finalists." But let's invite him and give him 5 minutes to present. I think it's a very fun way to present stuff. Sam, I've just invited you. If you can you hear us, Sam?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. In case you might want to.
Oh, one sec. Hang on. Yeah, hi.
Folks, so sorry for this. Sam, I'll just invite you once again. Yep. So sorry. Yeah.
No issues, man.
If you could try sharing your deck. Guys, this is a fun. I'm not sure if I put it in the parody segment because he's worked on it. But Sam, you could share a small intro on how you thought about this, and hope our audience finds it entertaining.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you could also share. I think Sam, you've been doing this for a bit, so you could also share some insights on how folks can think about breaking down a product.
Okay. Can you guys see the presentation?
We can. If you could full screen, that would be awesome.
I actually did go full screen. I don't know why it's not showing up. Anyway.
No worries.
So yeah, Square Yards product teardown, or you could also call it teardown. Why not? So it's not working. Hang on.
No worries. I think we can see your screen.
Yeah, I'm not doing full screen. I'm doing it on the side.
Sure.
Full screen. So first impressions of Square Yards was, I was like, oh my God, they offer so much. Like, it was like the $9,000 Swiss Army knife. And I was like, they're doing everything, but how do you do everything in one place? Like, people get really confused. So I was like, instead of being a Swiss Army knife, like Swiss Army knives are really useful if you have to do stuff once in a while, like a screwdriver, a toothpick there, a saw here. But if you want to do everything together, it's a mess. You need to get the individualized tools. So they should aim to be a katana, not a Swiss knife, because I know the saying is specialization is for insects, but it's actually not. Like if specialization were for insects, we'll be insects even today. So obviously, the challenge was about checking. I mean, 65% of the users come on the app. So I was like, okay, if it's the app, on the mobile web. So I was like, hey, if that's a thing, you need to check out the app. So I checked out the app, and the app was, it was literally the mobile web inside an app. I was like, do you even need an app? And they had the Play Store and App Store logos inside the app. So it was like an infinite. I'm like, okay, I know what. And again, going back to the Swiss Army knife, they're building for everyone. So who do they think they are? Google. I mean, we all know Google is building for the next billion, but I mean, DuckDuckGo also tried to build for the next billion. And I mean, yeah, it will screws up on privacy. Maybe then they'll get some traction here and then, but everyone's going to go back to Google. Unless, of course, you're in China, wherein they don't have Google. Discoverability. So, yeah, I actually saw a dead body on the second page of Google. I did not. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's the second page of Google search results is all about like dead bodies. And I saw mummy on page 6, but no square yards. And then I took a deeper dive and I checked out, square yards thing on SimilarWeb. And what I saw was they do have a few paid keywords which actually do perform. Like the one that's highlighted, the 3 BHK near Bellandur. That was the only one which actually gave them like the search which was on the first page of Google. And it's not the same case for the other people. Like you have Common Flow, you have Nestaway, you have all of those people coming in. So I was like, hey guys, like you can be fashionably late to a party, but if you're too late, everyone's just dead and the party's over. So what's happening here? And yeah, I just thought I'd throw in Batman Begins, like you get the memo, and that's all the other stakeholders there. So taking a deep dive here, if you look at the competition's web traffic, you can see that they get 90% plus.
Sorry, maybe you could just close the format background tab. Maybe the screen becomes a little bigger on the left and right.
Okay, yeah, sure. Cool, thanks. So yeah, the competitor's web traffic is mostly through search. 90% plus is through organic keywords. Whereas if you go back to the square yards thing, it's just around 76%, which is okay. But you see that the competitors hardly pay for the thing. And if you dig down, you actually see in the organic keywords, you actually have stuff people search for, like flats in Mumbai. So that thing they really need to work on. If they don't work on it, then yeah, they're gonna watch their marketing budget just burn away, and that's gonna be the major part of the burn. Getting to user personas, I tried to figure out user personas for the app. I was just super confused, and this is the first thing that popped into my head when this was for the app and the website. So I was like, literally any other app, almost any other app, there are really bad apps out there. But yeah, they'll probably just not want to look at square yards. They'll probably go to something else. Jokes apart, jokes apart, there was one user persona which I not came up with, I analyzed and got to it. So essentially, 40% of transactions happen on Square Yards through NRIs and overseas, which accounts for 60% of their gross transaction value, and 42% of the transaction happens between 50 lakh and 1 crore. There's an ET article from last year, from somewhere during the middle of the lockdown. So I was like, hey, that's where they get most of their money from. They should probably step up their game there and get to it. So yeah, jokes apart, this is Mohan. Mohan is portrayed by SI or whatever. So he works in NASA. He's a propulsion engineer. Yeah, he went to MIT. He's in his mid-30s, lives in Houston. And he makes yearly trips to his Swades. And right now he's looking to get married to Geeta and move to India and Bangalore in particular, because I'm from Bangalore and I know geography and the area. So my convenience. Anyway, So yeah, so his wife is working in EcoSpace Bellandur. He's going to work at also near EcoSpace Bellandur. So he wants to see how this works. How he can get a place there for them. So he goes onto the website and then he clicks around a lot. He looks around and then he finds there's this really interesting tool called recommendations. And it's pretty simple. So in recommendations, you input the city, you input the bedrooms, the amount of funding, and you can select. There are 4 tools: lifestyle, livability, commercial, proximity, and connectivity. And you tweak it to his needs, and then voila, you get results. And the math score, the 77%, he's like, oh my god, they actually have a score here. Like, how cool is that? Like, he never sees shit like that. So he's like, oh, let's do it. So he clicks on the first result, and then he goes into the details of the said project. And then how awesome is it that he was looking for a place which is close to both his and his wife's commute place. So you can see here, like, there's actually an option for them to see how far is this property away from my workspace. And he's like, oh shit, dope. Like, this is what I wanted to see, and this is an option right there. And when he goes there, he's like, oh, I can also input my spouse's location if I get a kid sometime further down the line. That, and we all know Mohan likes to work out. So there's a gym option there too. But when he goes further down, he sees a bunch of recommendations, which are people who viewed this project also viewed and all of that. And he's like, hey, you know what? When I searched for it in the beginning, I don't remember seeing these projects in the recommendations page. So he's a little confused and he clicks back. He goes back to the search results and he's like, oh my God, this is really confusing. And he's like, yeah, the first property was great. That was an HSR. HSR, for people who are not from Bangalore, is around 5 kilometers to Bellandur. The second property is in Bellandur itself, and it's 1 percentage math score below the previous one. So he's like, hey, you know what? It would have been easier if I had to, check these out. If the recommendations results in the recommendations page actually showed up.
Yeah. Can you do a very quick this thing where you have gotten into the Square Yards portal, like a quick recap, like a 30-second thing, so that Vivek has also joined just now.
Okay.
So just do a very quick run through and carry on from where you are.
All right. We could close it and then we could send the snippet to Vivek, like he could watch it around.
No, I meant wherever he is from the Square Yards thing, where he said the Square Yards detailing, or
I think it's just 2 slides before this. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Wait, no. You missed the Swiss Army knife. So yeah, Square Yards like a Swiss Army knife. You can swipe it out and you can play with it, but if you want to use one particular, it's kind of tough. So have a katana, like you can use it, you can cut people's head off. It does one job and it does it really fucking well. Apologies for swearing. The app looks very similar to the mobile web, which is why I use this. Also the Play Store and App Store inside the app, that's just weird. You guys are not building for the next billion people. You guys are not Google. DuckDuckGo tried doing that. They still haven't reached there. SEO, yeah. I saw the cliche dead body on page 2 of Google. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I went on page 2 of Google. And I reached page 6 and I gave up. I'm like, not happening. Which is why I went to SimilarWeb and I was like, hey, I need to know how these guys are in their SEO. And that's when I saw they had a bunch of paid keywords. The highlighted one, the 3 BHK near Bellandur, is what actually gave me a result on the first page of Google. And if you look, all the organic searches, you see Square Yards, Square Beats, I don't know, maybe a music fan, and Square Yards, whatever. So essentially, if a person knows the name of the company, they will get the results. If they don't know the name of the company, they'll probably end up on housing or common for 99 acres, one of their competitors. So the competitors are like, hey man, the party's over. You should have been fashionably late, but you were way too late.
Go on full screen. Just press on full screen.
It's not an issue with that. And then they're like, hey man, hey Square Yards, didn't you get the memo? It's a reference from Batman Begins. Watch the movie. It's a cool movie. It's really awesome. Watch it. So yeah, the competitors, the web traffic. So if you can see, the competitors actually have. Okay, it's a small slide. I'll really share the slide with you guys. You can go to it. So in their organic search, you can actually see the first one has flats in Mumbai. That gives the result on the first page of Google for that particular competitor. And the only other, and also 90% of the organic keywords is what lands them, whereas Square Yards has like 76%. They pay for 20% of their paid. And if you keep paying for your keywords, your money is going to burn up. Your marketing is going to eat up all of your money. So let's not do that. Like, you don't need to pay Google that much. So anyway, I thought of user personas. So yeah, almost all the personas were like, oh my god, this is so confusing. Like I don't get it. They do everything, and I'm just confused. So yeah, this I'm not gonna. You can see the meme. Yeah. So jokes apart, we get to. So yeah, the thing is, NRI people account for 40% of transactions that happen in Square Yards. 60% of the gross transaction value too, with 42% of transactions happening between 50 lakh and 1 crore. So essentially, they get a lot of money from overseas, and overseas people are the ones who have a lot of money.
We can't see the slide you're trying to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, I was getting to it. I was creating the thing for it. So yeah. So overseas people are the ones who have the money to spend. So I think they should double down on that market because they're the guys with the money. Like, only the money. They can show you the money. So let's go with Mohan. Mohan is he's portrayed here by SRK. He works in NASA and mid-30s, lives in Houston, busy with his work. He makes the yearly trip to his Swades, which is India. He's looking to marry to Geeta. She lives and works in Bangalore, Bellandur. And he's also got a new offer in Bellandur, and he's looking for an apartment near his place. And because he actually could not see Squares on the Google search. So one of his friends in the US who also use Square, they recommended it to him, and they were like, "Hey, you know what? Let me try it out." So he goes on Square's website, and he's like, "Oh, okay." He goes through it, he spends a bit of time on it, and then he comes across this really awesome tool called recommendation engine. And on the recommendation engine, he just puts in whatever he needs. Like, it's really basic, like around 5 or 6 questions: the city, the bedroom, self-funding, how much EMI he is willing to pay, and also parameters about the house, like livability, commercial proximity, connectivity. The red line there is connectivity. So he's like, it needs to be connected well. So he goes there, he tweaks it, and then he gets results. So he sees the first result, and he's actually amazed by the fact that there's actually a math score. And so he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to check it out. So he taps on the first result, and he's pretty blown away. Essentially, the fact that he was actually looking for a place which is close to his workplace and his wife's workplace, and actually a thing that like calculate how far it is. So he's like, oh my god, this is dope. And when he clicks on it, he further sees that, hey, it's not just for me. It's for I can have my spouse. I'm also in case I have a kid's school also, and we all know Mohan likes to gym. So there's a option to calculate how far he is from his gym. What he did not understand, he got a little confused, was he saw in the recommendations below the listing, like people who viewed this project also viewed, and none of the options here actually were similar to what he had seen search results after the recommendation engine. So he's like, hey, you know what? If I could see the results, the math score results here at the bottom, along with, right after the listing, it'd be easier for me to filter it out. I won't have to keep going back. Like the flow would be more continuous. So he does it like, hey, this is cool. I'm gonna check it out. And he's like, hey, that was easier than I thought it would be. Yeah, that's that. Now, another user persona where he's in a parallel alternate universe, and he continues to be an MRI. And this is where how you could sell how Azuro could be sold. He made a lot of money. He lives there. He bought a lot of properties in Mumbai. You may have heard of the one called Mannat. He rarely visits India. And his property is managed by a fearfully respected person in Mumbai, and he's on the lookout for alternatives. Also, he's a fan of his segue and this segue that I made in the presentation to get here. So this is the person who currently manages property. So it's like, mera naam hai. I don't know if you can hear it, but yeah, mera naam hai Bulla, main rakha hai Khulla. So this is how properties managed these days by him. This is the guy managing properties for him, and he that guy seems dangerous. Sign me up for Zero right away. Like, the knife can go either way. So yeah. Now coming back to Square Yards, are you guys supposed to go back to the drawing board? Or maybe not. Maybe just a few sprints, and you guys should be good. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sam. This was super entertaining. And Vivek and Swaya team, thank you for. I think a lot of people in the chat section as well, sir. Thank you for being so open to this. Right? Not very not every other day that people are open to this. So thanks so much.
Yeah. So Sam, when I saw your first few slides,
Right.
I asked Uday that this guy actually complete the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Such a eye opener and such an interesting presentation, and also the references, the memes that you used. You should actually go into advertising.
Yeah, I have a background in advertising. I used to work in design agency as a copywriter.
That's
That
great.
was like my first job outside of college. Yeah.
Very nice. And the reason, just to answer one of your questions, that see, we are reworking on this recommendation engine that was based on very old logic that we had developed, but we are coming up with a new recommendation engine, and you'll see both the things at the same place. So just it's in the works.
Honestly, like if landing page would be the recommendation engine, that would essentially solve a lot of your problems.
Yeah,
like people get there and go from there.
Yeah,
so you have all the tools ready, it just needs to be aligned well. So I just picked that up because that's what stood out to me the most. Like that kind of solved most problems.
Very interesting.
Super.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
See you on the other side. And now we're probably back to our last segment. Thanks, Uday. Thanks, Vivek. Hope you had a heated discussion on who's going to win this. But over to you, Uday. Over to you, Vivek. We could start off with the product sparks, and then we could go to the final winners.
Okay. So I think the discussion was we had a kind of a unanimous view on the fact that all the decks were pretty good. But definitely, some things stood out for some decks, some didn't for others. So it was in terms of the overall the criteria that Vivek mentioned initially. In terms of the content, the presentation, the structure that's followed, the clarity of thought. So all those criteria sort of doubled in, and we have some good news. Let Vivek take that on in terms of the finalists. The product sparks, I'm just pulling out the scoring that we had done earlier. So Vivek, we can follow that for the product sparks, and meanwhile you can announce the ranking of the finalists that presented today.
Sure. So we have a winner slightly ahead of the rest guys, but Lakshya and Pratibha, they are the winners for today.
Congratulations, team. I think that's exactly what the audience poll said. I think everyone's in turn. Do you guys want to come up on stage in case you could raise your hand? I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, and we have joint co-winners, Ananya and Munmun and Ritant. So they are joint co-winners.
Actually, I was just busy in a small, quick dance. So yeah, thanks to Pratibha. She did a wonderful job and assisted with input sugar and amazing. And thanks Vivek for this. Really loved working on this.
Thank you, Vivek, Suhas and Uday, and thank you, Lakshya, for supporting me also with preparing the deck.
Awesome. And do spend the week prepping for your interviews. All the best for that. Hope may the best winner of winners get the interview. Interview opportunities are lined up, but do definitely prep well. I think one layer is done and a couple of more levels, but all the best for that as well. Congratulations.
Sure, so I can work on that. Thank you.
Can you bring Renika and can you bring Ananya and Munmun also to join co-winners? Ananya and Munmun.
I've just invited them.
And Vritant, your deck was one of the most awesome decks. The one slide where you said that you're not competing with the others, but you're competing with the guys who is traditionally buying a property. I think that was the punch in your presentation.
Thank you.
Like that very much.
Thank you. It's really humbling to be able to speak to founders themselves. It's like an excellent opportunity. So thank you for all of this.
Yeah. Congrats, Ananya and Munmun also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Well done, well done.
Then we have Trinika and Samarth and Sam. Let's bring them onto stage as well.
Guys, the good news, I don't know, Vivek will share it himself, but all the finalists today, and it generally doesn't happen, but all the finalists and the names that Vivek mentioned have a chance to interview with Square Yards. So just gear up, we'll line up, we'll separately coordinate with you for that as well.
Thank you so much.
Vivek, I think Trinika was having internet issues, so she's not on the attendee section.
Yes.
No,
I think she is in.
So, very well done, guys, both of you, that three of you. So look forward to speaking to you very soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Same here.
Especially Samarth and Trinika, you guys are just in the pre-final years. The kind of effort that you made and how you understood the problem and how you presented, very well appreciated.
Thank you so much.
100% Raji. Well done, folks. Sam, even though there was a parody one, but I think lots of insights there, right? Interesting way to present it, interesting storylines, correct points that you picked at. So good stuff there. We'll see you back.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Vivek, if I could add a couple of product sparks and the winners from today's product trivia. Product sparks are the people who couldn't make it as finalists, but in terms of the scoring, they just missed by a whisker. So they had amazing decks. And honestly, if we had a couple of hours, we would have, we would have them on the stage as well. So first is Sagar Das. And second is Milan and Shivam. So these three folks who participated submitted their decks. Again, great job, guys. Sagar Das, Milan, and Shivam. So just keep it up. We'll touch base with you separately for the next steps. And for the product trivia that we had today, just a sec. Yeah, we have Akash, R.A. and Nishchay Mehta from the comment box who, answered the questions. They were the first to answer all the product trivia questions, although we had more lined up. But we'll touch base with you also separately for Amazon vouchers and maybe a networking session with Vivek and Sundar and rest of the team.
Thank you, guys.
I think this has been the session where everyone's won, right? So anyone who's not participated, they also learned a lot. And for everyone who's participated, gone back with something. So I hope, this just motivates them to go further in this course. So we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you so much once again. I think lots of interactions that you've given us your time over the entire month. That really helps the community. I think Uday, Vibhuti and Shayan put in a lot of effort backstage. Lots of sessions back and forth. I think Sundar as well, he's not here, but giving his time for the sessions that we did. Thank you so much, and hope this was interesting for you all as well. I think lots of interesting ideas that we heard from our participants here. So thank you once again from our side. Would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, any general advice for everyone who's trying to break into product or people who are early in their career. Anything that you'd like to share with them?
No, thanks everyone for participating, for sending us so much good feedback, so nice suggestions. And I would like to say that when Uday actually contacted me for a product teardown like this, I was a bit skeptical. But now the value that we got from this platform is immense. And hopefully we'll get to hire a few guys from this bunch. So I think guys should continue doing this. The more you do this, the more you learn. And when you actually do things within the platform that have really scaled up, this would really help you. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks everyone for the participation.
Thanks so much, Vivek. So there, would you like to share something?
Yeah, very quickly, guys. We've already short our time, but I want to thank the Square Yards team. So, see, in India, building in public is not a common culture. We are very secretive and private about what we are building in the startup space. I think Vivek would agree, Suhas would agree. So it takes a lot of courage and openness and willingness to grow, to kind of keep your product out there and invite feedback on it. And that is what a market leader truly is, wherein they're just out there to evolve and grow. So the team has been super supportive. Vivek is a super humble guy. Just reach out to either of us, me, Suhas, or Vivek on LinkedIn as well. Keep in touch with us. We'll plan stuff in a bigger way. So the idea is just to build a common community and be together in this journey. We right now Square Yards is at a certain stage, but it's going 10x in probably a couple of years from now. So it's always good to be a part of the journey right from day one. So really look forward to connecting with you guys through LinkedIn or Twitter and so on.
Year 6, but Uday follows Amazon framework, so day one, it's still day one.
It's day one, man. It's day one. Everyone is an apprentice. Like, that's the tagline I follow for my own startup as well. Everyone is an apprentice. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. No, thanks so much, Uday, for putting in this effort. I think lovely sessions throughout the month, and looking forward to the next one. I think we'll share the registration link for the next one. I think we already have a partner on board. But with that, we would like to take an opportunity to thank everyone who joined us today. Hope it was a great learning for you all. If you all enjoyed it, do give us a shout out. You could tag Vivek, Square Yards, Product Folks on LinkedIn or on Twitter, whichever platform you're active on. And I would also encourage a lot more folks to join in on the next one. And we all will learn together, right? So that's the entire thing. Like I mentioned earlier, I think everything else is cherry on the top, right? Everything else, this is our way to probably connect the industry to everyone who's looking to break it. And it's been growing month on month. So if you guys go back to the Product Folks / Teardown, if you see the first teardown that we did to now, right? I'm sure all of us would agree the level of decks that are coming out. We saw last participant, they're in pre-final year of college. Only, I don't think like any of us who were in the product space already, I don't think we would have been able to do, justice or like that level of deck. So the clarity in thinking is amazing. You guys are up for tough competition. So do take part in this. I think with every session that you take part in, you'll improve, right? You've taken part one, you might not have made it to the final, but try it the next time. Even if you're not making it to the finalist here, you're learning something out of it. You could use that deck to reach out directly to the other companies that you're applying to. So you're actually showing some amount of learning. And I think Uday is also bringing a bunch of learning sessions. So do join in on the Slack channels or on the WhatsApp groups, and that should set you up for the next trip. But with that, I would love to thank everyone who joined in today. We'll catch you backstage. Uday will catch you backstage. And you folks have a great weekend ahead. We have a bunch of events lined up. Share the link in the chat section. Do join us. But otherwise, have a wonderful weekend ahead and stay safe.
Guys, just follow the link on the registration link if you want to register for the next month, and stay tuned.
Super. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.